Okay, cue music. Oh, not in the budget. Okay, that's okay. We'll go right into it. Welcome to Schmoozing with Schuchman. It is my great pleasure to welcome my friend and founding board member, Lauren Spiro. Lauren started on the board of directors with Housing Limited back in 1991. Absolutely incredible. And Lauren has devoted and continues to devote her her lifelong work in the area of mental health recovery. A lifelong resident of Maryland in Montgomery County. And Lauren, you shared with me that after graduating from the University of Maryland, you were in the Peace Corps for 3 years in Senegal in West Africa. And you have there are many accolades in terms of your resume. I want to just point out one that is really awesome. You're the former director of the National Coalition for Mental Health Recovery. Welcome, Lauren.
Great to be here with you, Abe.
Thank
Really
you
great.
thank you so much for taking time out. Um,
My
well,
pleasure.
let's jump right into it. Uh,
Yes.
you uh, you were one of my favorite board members, an amazing support to me when I got started in December of '94.
Mm.
Um, but I'm not sure if I ever asked you exactly how you first got involved with Housing Unlimited.
I think similar to you, Abe, it was like being in the right place at the right time. So I was actually, I had recently finished graduate school and got my first job as a supervisor in Montgomery County. I was residential case management supervisor.
Mm,
And one evening, this was not part of my job. One evening, I heard there was something going on down in the clubhouse.
yeah.
I don't remember, but I wanted to go. Oh, I think probably because it had something to do with housing. And I've always been into like, I love real estate and just looking around and building and construction. For some reason, I've
Right.
always been attracted to that. Anyway, so Mary Cutlass, who was, kind of a little rock star, I shouldn't say little, she was big in Montgomery County, but she spoke about something. I think now that I'm talking to you, I think she maybe did a talk.
Yeah.
And then towards the end of the talk, she talked about Housing Unlimited, which I'm going to call Huey. She talked about there's this group of parents. Maybe it was a
Yeah.
board back then. I don't even know because that might have been 1990. Or late 1990. I think I started on the board early 1991, so it was right around there. And
Sure.
she mentioned that this group of parents were
Yeah.
trying to get a residential program going, and I said, I'm interested in that. That was it. That was it. I
You were
mean,
hooked.
I was hooked on her, and I was hooked on,
Yeah.
very shortly after that, I went to my first board meeting, and
Mm.
the rest is history. And it's just like, oh my God, wow.
I got a chance to meet Mary. She kindly she was Mary Kundrat was the head of NAMI Montgomery County and Whittier Boulevard, and she said, "I can provide you with your first office." And she invited me to Whittier Boulevard, where I spent several months getting my act together, and then I didn't want to overstay my welcome. So moved on from there, but that was so wonderful that she literally opened the door for me. So huge fan of Mary Kundrat.
Yeah, and
You got it.
thank you for correcting my mispronunciation of her name. I'm thinking of someone else that ran a county mental health system in Virginia.
No worries, no
Yeah,
worries.
yeah, yeah.
You met in those early years a lot of extraordinary people, and I was wondering if you could share a little bit about your reflections on some of the extraordinary board members that worked alongside of you.
Well, Abe, since you asked me to do this with you and yesterday sent me some key questions you're going to ask, this is a major walk down memory lane. It's like, I need to, it's been an
Good.
honorable kind of clearing of the cobwebs. So, first of all, I have to apologize because I may omit quite a few board members. This is
Sure.
my story, my memory, and the people that I worked with on the board more during my tenure. And I can't even tell you when I left the board. I don't even remember. So certainly, Marge Collins, I remember, was always a great note taker. Notes were very important, to get the history.
Oh, yes.
Because before I joined, there was some activity that I
Yep.
don't know about, but I know it was, you can see what I'm doing with my hands, but it's kind of like, it's like a little nebulous. But
Yeah.
I do have memories that I want to share with you. And because I thought about, I didn't have to, well, of key moments, like the first memories that came back, right?
Sure. Definitely.
Okay, so when I joined the board, there was Judy Ratner, Adele McQueen, Kamala Bancor, Rosemary Dirks was like I remember her as the accountant because
Yeah.
well, I was going to skip ahead, but I'll skip ahead a little bit because I remember once Nancy joined the board, which was a little later. I remember the two of them always sat together. Nancy was at the head of the table, but Rosemary was always right next to her, which kind of makes sense in terms of being the accountant. It's like they had an agreement. There was something going on
Right.
between them that was, it might have been a friendship, but also the accounting piece, the money piece that
Sure.
we all know is so important. Anyway, so I remember for quite a while, I would say over a year, but I'm guessing, the board was kind of like we were trying to figure out who we were, you
Sure.
know, were we a housing provider? Were we a service provider? So it was this kind of like,
Yeah.
I don't know, like who are we? It was I think it was, I hate to speak for everyone, but it was just this question like, what are we going to become?
Right.
I mean, like, first we need money, but it's like in an ideal world. Anyway, so everything changed when
Yeah.
Nancy Cohen joined the board. Okay.
Yeah.
Everything changed because Nancy just got us moving. No dust gathered
Yes.
under her feet. And I say that with the greatest respect
Right.
and what an honor because I was vice president of the board.
Right.
Um, I don't know if I was VP before she joined, maybe after she, I can't even remember, but it was great to work as the VP under her
Yeah.
wings
Yeah.
because she took off and I can fly too. So I thought we made a great pairing.
Absolutely.
Um,
Great
anyway,
team.
so yeah, I mean, I might cry at some point during this interview because this really brings back so many
Mm,
memories that I'm very proud of.
absolutely.
Very proud of. So for some reason, so Nancy used to winter in Florida
Right.
and she used to spend like 6 months in Florida. So then I was basically the acting president of the board and
Yeah.
she always knew what was going on. We recorded meetings, we had great notes. Her and I would talk on the phone as needed. We didn't need to talk that much because
Yeah.
she would get the notes. And anyway, when I say notes, I mean the board meeting minutes.
Yeah.
So I was with Nancy away half the year. I was pretty much in charge of like, kind of sort of finding a house because did we even have the money? I mean, what were we looking for? And but I love looking at real estate. So
Yeah.
so one day, very out of the blue, Nancy calls me. And I think it was like a Friday night or Saturday morning. And
Yeah.
she says, Lauren, I bought a house. And I was in shock, but
Right.
I knew that if she bought a house, it was a nice house and the stars were aligned, and I just said, "Oh, okay." And she says, "Can you go look at it tomorrow morning?" I said, "Absolutely." So I very excitedly took my partner at the time, Joel McNair, who
Yeah.
ran the largest residential mental health program in Fairfax County at the time. Well, actually,
Yeah.
probably the state of Virginia, but
Yeah.
he
Joel's
lived.
amazing.
Yeah, Joel's amazing. He's still amazing.
Still
Still
amazing.
working. Still working. He lives
Wow.
yeah, 45 minutes north of me down in Florida. So I moved to Florida 10 years ago from Montgomery County.
That's
Anyway,
right.
so the house was perfect, as you can imagine. Nancy wanted to put it's a 3 bedroom split level, Aspen Hill. You probably know the house better than I do. Near
Sure.
public transportation. It was everything we needed. And she said, "We'll put into in the basement. We'll put in 2 bedrooms." So I went and looked. I said, "Great, great. We're go. We actually have a house." And
Uh-huh.
yeah, she got a bridge loan.
Great.
She bought it with her own money, but with this bridge loan, so it would smoothly and pretty easily move over to being a Huey, Housing Unlimited house.
Great.
So now we're back to board meetings, and it's like, we have a house. We need to furnish the house.
Yeah.
What an idea, right? Okay, because again, Nancy's like, you open that window and you think a little breeze is going to come in, but I mean, I
Well,
mean, she
yeah.
really got us
She was a
off and
powerhouse.
off and running. So Adele McQueen stepped up to be the head of the furniture committee with the help of all of us, really, Judy Ratner in particular. So we were, had all these ideas of getting furniture and where to put it and all that. Um, so then it was like, oh yeah. So then I get another call from Nancy one day. She kept me on my toes, right? She says, I think I found our staff member. She was giving a talk to some group, and at the end of the group, this guy, Abe, he stood up and said he was interested. So she sent me his resume, sent me your resume, his resume, right? Some guy, I don't know who he is. And
Yeah.
I looked at it. I mean, again, I figured, if Nancy felt that strongly, it was okay. But, Nancy did have a board to look at everything. So I looked at the resume, it looked great. And you were hired, but part-time because we didn't have, we weren't rolling in dough at all. That was a major
Yeah.
point of conversation is we needed to fundraise, and Nancy took us to another level with that as well.
Sure.
So
Sure.
then we hire Abe, and we get, things start rolling. Like, yeah. So I remember it could have been a year later. I don't know the time frame, but one of the other key kind of memories that came back to me was, so one day I get a call from the county. So this is the county mental health department, and they want to meet with me. So I thought, oh, that's interesting, because usually they would meet with Nancy. But I had a job. Okay. I had a full-time job working for a nonprofit in Montgomery County, a residential case management supervisor. So I knew
Right.
few things about residents and how people get along or don't get along when they live together. So, and they wanted to meet in person. So, and they didn't say why. So I went in and, very curious, like, what's this about? And they said, Lauren, and again, I don't remember exactly. So Lauren, they probably said, I don't think they said we need, I think they probably said, we want you to think about the idea. It was two things. One part was of having co-ed housing.
Uh,
So clearly, before that point, we had like male houses and female houses. I don't remember
mm,
how many houses we had, but we probably had more than two. It was a
yeah.
small number. And they said, and the second part of that they emphasized was it gives us the flexibility to pick the tenant that best fits that house, because I don't know
Right.
if they're still selecting tenants, but they were selecting the tenants from
Mm,
many, many, many dozens, if not hundreds, of people who had applied. So I, I'm remembering 30 years ago and trying to
sure.
remember being in that room with
Right.
the two guys I knew. And I think for me, it was like I needed to step a little bit out of my box, kind of the safety zone, and thinking male, female. I mean, it's normal, as they were saying, it's kind of
Yeah.
normal. But if you can
Sure.
think 30, 35 years ago or whatever, it was like, for us as a young agency, it was a little risky because it's like,
Mm.
the complications that can happen when you put men and women together, right? But I said it sounds fine to me.
Right.
They needed the flexibility to pick,
Sure.
financial wise to meet the budget. So
Yeah.
it was very two pronged.
Right.
So I let Nancy know, let the board know, whatever. Nobody had a problem with it. So I remember
Yeah.
it seemed like a big
Yeah.
deal at the time. It was a big, if it was,
Yeah.
if it was a
And I
shift for
can,
me, it was bigger for other people, right? It was because I worked in the field. So
you were, I'll add that you played a pivotal role as I think, a trusted resource to the County Mental Health Agency um, because of your expertise and also because you headed an important uh, nonprofit, as you mentioned, Montgomery Montgomery Community Residences, MCR, that provided optional support services to housing limited tenants in the early years. And and so you were integral because this has always been a collaborative effort. Housing Unlimited, focusing on the basically traditional affordable housing, and then tenants having the option of accessing desired, flexible, individualized support services from amazing nonprofits like MCR and others. And that's been from day one, as you mentioned, the first house we purchased. Uh, and I started on December 1st, 1994, and you threw me right into it. And our first tenants moved in the spring of 95. As you mentioned, working closely with the board um, and the state and the county, we were able to secure that permanent financing through a state loan and county loan to take out that bridge loan that Nancy had kindly arranged. And we were sort of off and running. And as you mentioned, there was a great debate, a really great debate about, as you said, housing versus provider. If we are housing,
I was just
are
remembering
we
that.
are
Yeah.
we independent landlord-tenant
Yeah.
type housing or the more traditional supervised housing? And the board and myself felt very strongly that a whole lot of people could do really, really well and where there was a great need was the independent housing in the context of this collaboration. And in those early years, we started with that first house, a 5-bedroom house. Many of the early homes were 5-bedroom single family homes when we could purchase one for $160,000. Um, but as those got more expensive and as folks weighed in on our waiting list with a preference for smaller units, of our current 92 homes, only 8 are the co-ed 5-bedroom homes. The rest are scattered site 2-bedroom condos or 3-bedroom townhomes. And we've always stuck with the model that the board outlined back in 1994. Exactly, we've been laser focused exactly as you kind of set the course in 94. We
But
only have a few minutes left. Uh,
oh, okay.
Time flies when we're reminiscing.
Well, no,
Uh,
I'll say
yeah,
it
please go
briefly.
ahead.
I'll say it briefly, which was because you said all that. I was remembering one of the reasons that for I think at least a couple years, probably longer, the board was in this kind of which way are we going? But
Sure.
Nancy clarified the
Yeah.
two way. After several months on the board, and she got educated and up to speed. She said, "Okay, folks, this is the decision. We're not
Yeah.
going to be a licensed, accredited group home where you have clinical standards you have to document." Versus we're going to be a compassionate landlord. So that
Yeah.
was the unknown kind of like, who are we going to be? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Nancy did incredible outreach work
Yeah.
to the state government, state mental health agency, incredible outreach to the county mental health agency. And thankfully, there was a real strong consensus internally with the board and myself and externally with these key stakeholders at the state and county level,
Absolutely.
that there
Absolutely.
was this
Stars were
incredible,
aligned. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
stars were aligned. There was an incredible need
Yeah.
for, as you said, this compassionate, independent housing um, in the context, again, of this collaborative approach. And and that's worked out beautifully. We've stayed focused on that. And and I just wanted to, in these final minutes, just get your thoughts. You've been on the journey with us, and how do you feel? How do you feel about progress over these 31 years?
Okay. I'll try not to cry. But again, looking back, I mean, this has been over 30 years of
Yeah.
my life, since I joined the board of Huey. So I truly do not believe that we could have hired anyone more well suited and
Mm.
competent to do
Well,
this
thank you.
ambitious, multifaceted job. Okay. Because it really required a diverse skill set. Back in the day, when before all the parts came together because of you, right?
Mm,
We needed, a creative and open mind, a lot of compassion and insight, and the tenacity and the patience to always maintain the long view, with an
mm,
optimistic can-do attitude. So
mm,
I'm honored. I'm incredibly proud of
mm.
the work that's been done by so many people,
Right,
led by
right.
you, Abe, as our first and only so far
Yeah.
CEO. I'm particularly touched by the empowering involvement of the residents
Mm,
in the organization's well-being.
mm.
It feels inclusive and deeply grounded in an organic community building process
Yeah.
that one can only dream about.
Mm,
Playing a tiny role, which I played and many of us played, in bringing it to fruition. So it's
yeah.
been a really extraordinary
Mm,
journey. And I don't know if any other county in the United States has done this. I haven't
mm.
heard of any for mental
Right,
health,
right.
substance addiction. They have kind of their own separate stuff going on and great
Sure.
stuff. But
Right.
for mental health, I've never heard of it.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking it probably doesn't exist, but I could be
Right.
wrong. I would love to be wrong.
Well, thank you so much for your kind words. I have such great respect for you, so it particularly means a lot to me to have your vote of confidence. Um, as we were talking before we started this schmooze, um, I I share with you how grateful I am that in those first months and years that I started, um, I really leaned on you for guidance and support and encouragement. And you were
Can I
there.
interrupt you?
Yeah,
Can I rudely interrupt you? Do
please.
you remember I invited you to come over for lunch to my
Yes,
house and
yes,
we had lunch? And
yes.
I said, this is an MPDU. This is a
Mhm.
moderately priced dwelling unit.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
what I could afford to
that's
purchase.
right.
Okay, just make sure yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and you were very encouraging, and we're very proud that two-thirds of these 90 plus homes followed in your footsteps and
Oh
are
my God.
MPDUs.
I had no idea. Two
Yeah,
thirds. That
so
that's amazing. That's
so
amazing.
these are beautiful homes that the
Yeah.
county sells or facilitates the sale at a very affordable rate, so we can stretch our capital dollars.
Right.
Um,
Wow.
so we could go, you and I know, could go on and on.
Oh yeah.
Um, but
Yeah.
I just want to conclude by again thanking you for your time
Mm,
and sharing these beautiful, beautiful memories. It has been over these 31 years a real journey, and what stands out for me is the team effort, the notion that a team of board members led this, a team of
beautiful.
staff. I have a leadership team of five.
Wow.
Um, so it always has been a team effort. You modeled that. You and Nancy modeled that. And we've really worked hard to continue that. And I give you my word that we're going to work hard. We've got 200 people on our waiting list, so we want to
Got a
continue to
lot of work
work
to do.
hard. Got a lot of work to do. Uh, but thank you again,
Thank you.
and we'll talk soon.
Yes, we will. Thank you, Abe.
Bye.